very false, because what happens is people buy the product and don't read the label and think more is better. And there's a whole procedure that's involved with applying an herbicide. You need to have public notices, you need to have certified mail from all the property owners, and that's where the contract costs come from, all that certified mail notification. You have to have posters that are posted at every 100 feet along the shoreline before the treatment. There are water use restrictions that are involved following the herbicide treatment. For 2,4-D, it's a 7-day swim restriction. So that is usually done. See, there are two things that we can do. We can do a spring treatment, which is tricky in a river system because the flows are going to be higher anyway. What we're starting to work with more now, both in the Piscataquog River and in the Merrymeeting River, is a late August, early September treatment where the water use restrictions aren't as critical. So, and the flows are a lot lower, so you're not going to get dilution. But 7 days for swim, and then 30 days for drinking, and that's if you have, I think, are all of you on public water? No.
That's a funny joke.
Dug wells within 50 feet of the water's edge.
Why?
Okay. In that case, it's going to be a 30-day restriction on water use for drinking and for irrigation. So that, some towns have said, you know what? We're going to do a treatment anyways, and they've provided drinking water for people. You can still shower in it, it's not toxic, you can go swimming 7 days afterwards. We have nothing, even after pumping a well more than anybody would feasibly pump a well, to say that 2,4-D is going to get in your well. But Department of Agriculture puts an extra restriction on that product just to make sure that it's ultimately safe. So they add, I think, 2 weeks above what the legal restriction is just for safety purposes. So I think it's great that folks like the idea of getting their own license to do a treatment, but it's not as easy as getting online, ordering Aquacide, having it delivered by UPS, and then going out on a boat and doing it. There are a lot of steps involved, and if you're talking liability, there's huge liability if you go in and put an herbicide in the water and somebody gets hurt. I had a woman up on Bellew Lake in Wakefield who literally did that. She ordered 2,4-D, had it delivered by UPS, went out on her pontoon boat, and was spreading it. No permit, no knowledge, no nothing. She could have killed someone. Because if the concentration, the concentration that applicators use is not high at all. It's very low. But that mindset of more is better, and I'm going to just kill this sucker, is in people's minds. So, think about it. You've got a weed in your walkway, and you get the Roundup, and you're spraying it. It happens. So, leave it to the applicators. They're licensed. They've been doing this for 30 years. They know what they're doing.
So what do you mean? Funds wouldn't be applied for until the end of this year. And
Yeah.
You're talking about a late August application, so they wouldn't see any relief until the growing season, or summer season of 2010.
That was just an option. We can still treat in May or June. What we need to do, though, is let the river down all through the system. Leave some headway at Glen Lake, and then leave a reservoir effect at your dam, so that if it does rain or the flows are high, there's reservoir effect, so that the ponds can fill up without flowing through directly and causing a lot of dilution. So there are ways to control it. But if we have Mother's Day floods like we did a couple of years ago, the point is moot. But if you have the right conditions in spring, you can certainly do it.
We have hydro dams as well.
You will have in-stream flow requirements where you need to maintain.
Can I follow up to that? So if we come up with a management plan and it does call for some drawdowns, obviously, how does that trump, at the state level, how does that trump dam operations? Is there any,
We
do
won't
we have a
trump
priority?
hydropower.
It's their volunteer, basically they have to volunteer to cooperate with us?
If they can go off the grid for a certain time frame. I just don't know what their operation schedule is, if they have highs and lows, and we can try to time with them.
How long would it have to be down?
I would say that you could use a good week-long contact time.
But, excuse me, with that being said, because traditionally, we're going low right now. In fact, voting's going to be non-existent probably in at this rate, another week.
Really?
I mean, when I say, when you're going like that, there's gonna be a lot of spots where there's gonna be mud showing. So in other words, we run into this every spring, disregarding two major storms we've had in the last 50 years.
Right.
Why do they do that? Do they have like a peak of
We
the
have
spring?
flashboards, and so so what happens, like, a percentage of them break every year, and before they can go put those flashboards back up, obviously the river has to come down to the height of the spillway. And when you get to that height, I don't know if anyone's tried out there with a boat. You know, it's not unusual to see a boat going across, and all of a sudden you see everyone flying to the front and the boat stops, you know, I mean, we've seen it. And people getting stuck out there, and most of us kind of sit around and chuckle for a while. But, you know, so it happens every year around this time.
Okay, that's good to know. What we can do, the pellet of 2,4-D needs to be put into the water. What we can do is a combination of the pellet and the deeper water where there's still going to be water during that time drawdown. But there's a formulation of 2,4-D that's a liquid that they put on with like it's probably surfactant, but it's a product that helps the chemicals stick to the plants. They can go in with backpack sprayers and those areas that turn into mud flats. We can let the milfoil get more to that terrestrial form and spray the milfoil. It's 2,4-D, it's just a different liquid formulation. That formulation's a little bit cheaper, so a combination of both the pellets and the liquid could work. When is the drawdown? Is it usually?
Right now.
It's unpredictable.
It's unpredictable.
Depends on when the
We
flashboard's
don't know when the board's
taken
gonna
out.
break, and we don't know when they're going to put them back up.
Or when they release from one line.
Or, well, that's.
Past experience says they'll put them out just before the next major flood.
They've been doing that for 2 days. It goes way down, it
So
comes
they
back up.
bounce it out.
There's really no communication as to what they're doing, what we would like to change.
Yeah.
If the dam operators crab about drawing down and their hydro floor, is there any state RSAs that'll force them to comply to eradicate this? 'Cause we had problems during the flood, and they may just say, you know what? You got a better shot of Santa Claus showing up than us shutting this dam down.
Well, there's nothing in my regs, but I would have to talk to the people in the dam
Can you
area.
find out? I think everybody here would agree with me.
Yeah.
If push comes to shove, we're all good people. But, you know, we got property values to think about, and the river's gonna go to absolute crap. You can't even boat in it. Now, if something can't be done, and these turkeys, I say it nice, these turkeys don't wanna play, can we make them play ball?
Mind you, turkey is a technical term.
Amy,
That's a good dictionary too, go for it.
Amy, if I might, that's kind of a good segue to my question here, which is what are the chances, based on what you're hearing here and what you know about us getting a treatment for next year?
I don't think
What are the odds?
The chances are not bad. Because you guys haven't treated before, you get extra. We have an objective priority ranking system so that when I get a request from 30 lakes, I can't pick my favorite lakes. I have to put them through a matrix. And you guys get extra points in that matrix because you haven't requested matching funds before or any treatment before. And you have a widespread infestation, so you get more points. I can't tell you the precise odds because I don't know who else is going to be coming in and what their odds
Right.
are. But
Well,
the chances aren't bad.
They're not bad. Well, I guess that's good news, because that will be, if it gets treated next year, that'll be 3 years since we first reported it to DES. And I guess my question is, we're seeing the river every year change dramatically, and there's going to be a dramatic change this year, which means there'll be a dramatic change by '09. So with this infestation, this property value thing, this is already happening to us. And I know you're a nice person, Amy, and I know it's your bosses or the state behind you that either acts or doesn't act, but when this was first reported to your department in 2007, the first thing they said was, we need to act fast. And a year later they said, we just confirmed it's that species, and the best thing to do is to act quickly on it. And a year after that, you guys have said, okay, let's get together and talk about it, because the most important thing is that we act fast on it. And now we're going to be 3 years out before it finally gets treated, saying the most important critical item here is that we act quickly.